Good morning. Welcome to Saturday Baseball. Say hello, Leonard.
Hello, everybody. Eddie Heckman is here.
Go ahead.
Good morning, all.
Okay, so Lenny had to say hello. You know, he's in the chat room, so take advantage of chatting with Lenny today while you can. And I'll just wait for the sound to be good, and then we'll get started on all the notes, the tidbits, the nuggets, the bull dinky, the poppycock, and all of this going on a Saturday morning. It's great to be here. You know, Lenny said yesterday, I need to get a poll to see how many people like to come to Saturday baseball. And I said, it doesn't matter, because to me, it really doesn't matter. The people that are here can listen. If you're not here, it doesn't hurt my feelings. Like, Lenny loves to have a full chat room. So, I mean, it's not a bad thing. I like it too, but it doesn't really affect how I do the podcast or anything. But let me just check the sound. I need a sound check. Cody Bellinger's, the Dodgers are a mess, and Bellinger is doing wonderfully. And yes, I see that the sound is good. So refresh everybody and get some sound. All right, here we go. Liam Hendriks is throwing again, and do you know how we know this? We know this because his wife's Instagram told us. So congratulations to Liam Hendriks. What a great story he is. A hard-fought battle from cancer quicker than any of us expected, and he is throwing again. So he's on his way back, and that's great for the White Sox, and it's great for fans everywhere. And it's just great when you see a professional athlete like this, or somebody go through a downtime, or they struggle with something that happens to everyday people, and you watch them, and they really can be kind of like an inspiration for a lot of young people. If they're going through cancer or whatever, they see their buddy, their pro athlete friend, whatever it is, go through something like that. I think it helps out a lot of people that are also struggling with the same thing. So he's a great mentor, a great example of how cancer can be beat. Tonight is going to be a great night for pitching. You got Alex Manoah, Garrett Cole, Pablo Lopez, Shane Bieber, Dylan Cease, Shane McClanahan, Framber Valdez, and Luis Castillo all pitching today. What a wonderful day of pitching it will be. Ke'Bryan Hayes from Pittsburgh. I think I drafted him a year too early, and I haven't drafted him since because he's been just a mess for fantasy value purposes. But I have to mention that Ke'Bryan Hayes, since 2021, has a 44 defensive runs saved over 2,038 innings. Arenado is comparable. Since 2021, he has 27 defensive runs saved. Think of that. That's almost double. Ke'Bryan Hayes has almost double defensive runs saved than Nolan Arenado since 2021. So while he may not be the most exciting fantasy category guy, he's an excellent defensive guy, and that will continue to get him in the lineup. He does have some speed, so we'll see what happens. I know he's having a decent season so far, and the Pirates are having a decent season so far. And it's yet to be seen if this is for real or not, but they're pitching unbelievably. Their pitching is actually helping them. I used to say that pitchers go to Pittsburgh to die, basically. They go there to end their career, or they start there with a horrible career, and then they get traded, and they're all of a sudden very good, like Garrett Cole, like Jameson Taillon, and there's several others that I can't think of right off the top of my head. But Pittsburgh used to be a place where pitchers just went to, and their career just ended. Or, like I said, they start there and they have to get rid of them. But they're never good while they're in Pittsburgh. And it's nice to see the Pittsburgh pitching doing decent. Now, the Padres, on the other hand, holy moly, the Padres. Is Malpel here? Yay, Danny Ogden. I'm happy that you could be here. We're going to talk a lot about the Pirates today, so hang in there. I wish Malpel was here, but he probably doesn't want to hear this news anyways. Big Padres fan, living in San Diego his whole life. The Padres suffered their third shutout of the week. They had 2 hits they lost by 9-0 to the Diamondbacks. They've been held to 1 or 0 runs in 5 of their last 6 games. And the top 3 hitters in the lineup, and that includes Manny Machado, my favorite player in baseball, have gone 1 out of 24 with 9 strikeouts in the last 2 games. They are 10-12 on the season, the Padres. And speaking of train wrecks so far, their biggest rival, the Dodgers, are also a big train wreck. Yesterday, Julio Urias was pulled after 3 1/3 innings, 5 runs on 7 hits, including 5 for extra bases. It was his shortest start since he gave up 5 runs in 2 innings last July. So hopefully nothing's wrong with him. This is only his 3rd game and 2nd start at Wrigley Field in the regular season, but he hasn't been good at Wrigley Field. 6 runs in 7 innings pitched. But again, our good friend King Turd brought up the fact that Bellinger is on fire, and his old team, the Dodgers, are a train wreck. Yes, indeed, that is true. Anybody that took a chance on Bellinger, we did it because we loved him getting a fresh start in a new team, and we already know that his skills are there. We knew that, but it's like, Ron Chandler, I learned a long time ago, once a player demonstrates skills, they don't just go away.
Malpal's here.
Hello, Malpal. Okay, I just talked about the poor Padres, but don't worry, we'll dog on them a little more before it's over. I feel bad having to share the news with you, but I already know you know, because you probably watched every pitch of yesterday's game, and you know exactly what they're doing so far, which is not good. But I'm glad you could join us on this Saturday morning. Bellinger, this guy, it was like him and Christian Yelich. You just couldn't pinpoint what was wrong with these two batters until you figured out that Bellinger was swinging at everything and striking out all the time, and Yelich couldn't hit the ball off the ground, which I don't know if that's changed, but I know during spring Yelich was hitting the ball off the ground more. Anyway, I'm veering off to another subject. Let's talk about Shohei Ohtani. And if you watched MLB Quick Pitch, it drives you freaking nuts. These girls on there drive me nuts with their ridiculous... I don't know how to explain it, but it's maddening watching it. Anyways, they pointed out that Shohei Ohtani is now baseball royalty. Anyway, he really is baseball royalty because he's outstanding. He's now allowed 3 hits or fewer in each of his last 9 starts, dating to last season. It's the second longest streak among traditional starting pitchers since 1901. Guess who's first, though? Jacob deGrom did it in 2021. We all know what Jacob deGrom can do when he's healthy. However, right now we're talking about Ohtani. This season he has a .64 ERA, a .092 opposing batting average, and a .115 opposing slugging percentage. He also has 4 home runs, a 52.9% hard hit rate, and if you watched him pitch yesterday, that's why I like to watch Quick Pitch, because I get to see the highlights, and boy did they show some great highlights of Ohtani. They have this new pitch. All of a sudden everybody's using this sweeper pitch, but Ohtani he's the king, the royalty, as Quick Pitch says, of this sweeper pitch. And these pitches, they don't even land in the zone really, but they get these swinging strikes like crazy. They come out there and then they just drop, okay, like a boomerang, and these batters are swinging and they can't make contact because by the time they swing, this ball is down at the ground. It's unbelievable to watch, and I really give Ohtani a lot of credit. I think he's packing stadiums all across the country. It's very exciting. Like I said, his opponent's batting average is .092. That's the lowest in a pitcher's first 5 games since at least 1916. He's only allowed 8 hits, which is the fewest in the first 5 pitching starts of a year since 1901. Shohei Ohtani has allowed a .115 opponent slugging percentage this year. I told you that. But he has 12 games with 10 or more strikeouts since the start of last season. That's the most in MLB during that span. He also hit a 116.7 miles per hour home run this week. 32 innings, not allowed a run at home. And the Angels, everybody talking about, the Angels going to trade Ohtani. Here's the situation that came out yesterday. They said that the Yankees, the Padres, and about half the teams in the league made inquiries about Ohtani over the last year, right at the deadline last year. And Artie Moreno rather emphatically and colorfully shot down any idea of trading him. Probably made a joke about it, like, you couldn't possibly give me what Ohtani is worth. There isn't a handful of players. There isn't a bushel of players. There isn't a group of players. You couldn't give me your whole team for Ohtani, okay? And that's how it was. So all this nonsense about how Ohtani was going to be traded was absolutely, positively, 100% a fake sports media news. Pete Alonso, here we go. Lenny did a poll the other day on Twitter, and it started out, it's interesting, these polls usually, the way they start out is typically the way they end, and it started out with Aaron Judge hitting more home runs than Alonso, but it finished out with a bang, with Alonso getting 60% of the votes to hit more home runs than Aaron Judge this year, and I voted for Alonso, and I don't know what you guys voted, but I hope you all vote in Lenny's polls because he really likes them, and it helps him put his show together. So, Alonso's hit the most home runs in the first 21 games of the season in Mets history. The Mets right now are 7-1 on their current West Coast road trip, improved to 13-1 when scoring 4 or more runs, and they're 6-2 against the NL West, 10-2 when scoring first, and are 10-0 when out-hitting their opponent. That's how it works, really. All right, Michael Grove and the Dodgers. Look, Michael Grove is injured now, which means that the Dodgers have gone through both of their two replacement prospect starting pitchers, which was, if you remember, during spring when they had an injury. I think it was Tony Gonsolin, or it was one of their starting pitchers was injured, and they were trying to decide between Michael Grove and Ryan Pepiot. Well, Pepiot just got transferred to the 60-day DL, and Michael Grove now is injured. So now the Dodgers are looking in a need for a fifth starter. Maybe they shouldn't have fired Trevor Bauer. They would be a lot better off than they are right now. All right. Anyway, Bauer's doing great in Japan, and hopefully someday he'll come back. He's a great pitcher. That's all I know. Now, the Dodgers' likely situation here is that they're hoping that Tony Gonsolin will come back from rehab early. He's doing well in his rehab, and so the most likely situation is that they'll bring Tony Gonsolin back a little early. But Gavin Stone is still in the conversation, who we've talked about in this chat room quite a bit. Gavin Stone has good numbers in the minors, and it looks like he's ready, but he's got a 7.28 right now in Triple-A. And clearly that's not an inspiring number, but he might get the call-ups very soon. And Tony Gonsolin is coming back from rehab very efficiently, and so that's probably what the Dodgers will do to get their fifth starter. The Cubbies have scored 10 or more runs in 6 games this season, and that's tied with 1885 for their most games with 10 or more runs through the team's first 19 games of the season in franchise history. They had 6 games with 10 or more runs all of last season, and they already did it this season in their first 19 games. So the Cubbies made some great investments. It's paying off early. The Wrigley Field is full. The Cubby fans are happy, and they're really always happy because they're always drunk. But just kidding. It is well known that the Wrigley Field Cubby fans do like to drink, but their ballpark is a great classic in baseball. The oldest ballpark in baseball still, even though it has rats and a horrible men's bathroom. From what I hear, I haven't been in the men's bathroom, but I hear that it's got this one big, I've seen pictures of it because
it's one big thing. Yeah.
It's one big long urinal and it gets clogged up. Anyway, I only know this because Ozzie Guillen, who is my favorite manager in baseball history for reasons that you could probably figure out, but he used to hate going to Wrigley Field because even in the south side of Chicago, where the crime is rampant and it's absolutely the bad side of Chicago, he hated going to the good side of Chicago, Wrigleyville, where it's just a beautiful little area with shops and bars and all kinds of street vendors and stuff like that. He used to hate going there because he just would say, the rats are just such a problem, the bathroom is horrible, all that stuff. But anyway, moving on. I like to veer off today, I guess. Am I yelling, Leonard?
No, you're doing great.
How's the chat room doing?
You got almost 30 people.
All right. Hello, Daniel. Nice to see you. Randall Greichuk. He had bilateral sports hernia surgery. He's going to play 3 more AAA rehab games this weekend. And after that, the Rockies are going to reevaluate his status. He should be on his way back next week. He's on pace to be back next week. So that's good. Randall Greichuk coming back to the Rockies. Atlanta Braves, Michael Soroka. He made a start. We talked about this past week for AAA Gwinnett on Monday. He threw 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs. He struck out 5. And in 3 minor league starts in his rehab, he's thrown 13 2/3 innings. He has a 1.32 ERA. His next start for AAA is likely to come tomorrow unless the Braves call him up before then. They are on the verge, and he is really close to being ready to rejoin the rotation. But they say there isn't a spot for him. I say that's bull dinky and poppycock because a 6-man rotation could end up solving an issue the team could run into based on their upcoming schedule. They have a very packed schedule coming up. They need 6 pitchers. So, and saying there's not room for Soroka, give me a break. There's room for Soroka, okay? There's room for him. They're going to have to cut the guy in the number 5 or 6 spot already. Or just bump him to the bullpen or whatever. I don't have the starting rotation depth chart in front of me. But saying there's no room for Michael Soroka is a bit of a stretch, in my opinion. They'll find room for him. Anthony Volpe, the Yankees' little loved. Well, is he really loved? I don't know. It depends on the day at Yankee Stadium whether or not he's loved or not. The Yankees fans are very volatile, but Anthony Volpe's first 8 games, and this is why the Yankees fans were questioning whether or not he should be up. I was questioning it the whole time because I have 2 good players that weren't getting any playing time over it, which was Peraza and Cabrera, and Peraza got sent down for this guy to stay up, and the first 8 games he batted 160 with a 275 on-base percentage, 4 hits, 0 home runs, 3 stolen bases. But in his last 8 games, Volpe has pulled it together. My boy Peraza got called up anyway, and my boy Cabrera is playing all kinds of positions now. So I'm happy with Volpe. I'm happy with my other players that didn't stay down long. Last 8 games, Volpe is hitting .304 with a .448 on-base percentage, 7 hits, 1 home runs, and 5 stolen bases. All right, there you go. Now let's talk about the Mets rotation. Started out really great, didn't it? What the hell happened to it? Now Max Scherzer is serving a 10-game suspension. The Mets starting rotation consists of Kodai Senga, David Peterson, Tyler McGill, Joey Lucchesi, and they are going to need another starter to fill in for Max Scherzer. We don't know who that's going to be. When you're rolling with Tyler McGill, David Peterson, Joey Lucchesi just made his first start yesterday after being out since 2019 with Tommy John surgery, and his family was there, and we're going to talk a lot about that when we talk about the games. Another Met who's doing really good and has always had this talent. Brandon Nimmo is one of the most underrated outfielders I've seen in recent years. Lenny has always kind of stayed away from Brandon Nimmo, never really saw anything special with him. Yes, if you look at his stats on the surface, they might look a little mediocre, but this guy is a monster defensively, and he's also a monster with on-base percentage. Right now, and he's still... Let me tell you, he's still maturing as a batter, but they have him batting leadoff for a reason because he has no problem getting on base. And this year so far, he's hitting .368 with a .488 on base percentage. That literally could save your entire fantasy offensive roster right there with that on base percentage if you play in OBP leagues. The .368 batting average, I mean, these are extremely high. The only batter that has a better average and on-base percentage in Major League Baseball this year is Luis Arias. That's it. And neither of these guys are going to continue at this pace, but it's exciting, and I'll tell you what, both of them have great plate skills, and both of them have every reason to continue being the number 1 and 2 in baseball. Now, we know Francisco Lindor plays shortstop for the Mets. However, we have this guy, Ronnie Mauricio. He is in the minors, and last year he was blocked all season. He wasn't that great last year, so it wasn't really a big news story, but he is crushing it this year. It's like he's basically showing everybody that he served his time in the minor leagues and he has nothing left to prove there, but he plays shortstop. So, what do? They have made a they are making currently a path to playing time for Ronnie Mauricio by playing him at second base. Now, he's never played second base in any AAA or any minor league team. He did not play any position besides shortstop. However, he did start at second base in one time in the Dominican Winter League, and he started third base 9 times in the Dominican League. However, the only position he's played in MLB minors is shortstop. They started him playing at second base, which means they are interested in bringing this guy up in the near future, so you should grab him immediately. He can play second base, and then you say, well, what about Jeff McNeil? Jeff McNeil plays second base for the Mets. Well, what they would do is slide Jeff McNeil to a corner outfield spot, because Mauricio right now is hitting .358 with a .411 on-base percentage and a .761 slugging percentage in 73 plate appearances over 18 games for Syracuse. He has 6 home runs, 7 doubles, 1 triple, 14 RBIs, and 15 runs scored. And if the Mets did not find a path to playing time for this guy, who has been in the minors for long enough, has plenty of experience, then they would be out of their mind. He's on his way to come up. Believe it. Go get him. All right. Now, we're going to the games now. Let's see. Hello, everybody. Mitchell Hartson. Nice to see you. Oh.
What?
I'm reading Eddie Heckman's drama.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway. So, Lenny tries to put in this. Yes, I mean, it would have to be Bryce Elder that would lose some starts. But here's the thing. What about Spencer Strider? He's doing great, right? As always. Isn't he hurt? Is Spencer Strider out with Tommy John, Lenny?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm really interested, though, so if you could find out for me.
Okay. I'm talking to somebody.
All right. Here goes the games. Moving on, fellas. The Cleveland Marlins game was postponed yesterday, and let's talk about the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Cubbies. It was a great day for the Cubbies and for the Cubbies fans. Drew Smyly had a perfect game going into the 8th inning until he collided with his catcher, Yan Gomes, trying to field this little dribbler that was an infield hit, and he collides with Yan Gomes trying to save the perfect game. But the Cubbies still beat the Dodgers 13-0. Nico Horner, Cody Bellinger, Trey Mancini, and Patrick Wisdom all homered, and Chicago won for the 5th time in 6 games. Oh, Springs, Jeffrey Springs. I got him confused. All right, thank you. Thank you, Dan Ogden. Glad to know someone's helping me out here. Nico Horner finished with 4 hits and 4 RBIs, and Wisdom and Mancini each drove in 3 runs. Drew Smyly struck out 10 and walked 0 in 7 2/3. He threw 68 of his 103 pitches for strikes. David Peralta accounted for the Dodgers' only base runner against Smyly, and it was this tiny, like I said, it was the tiny little bobble that he collided with Yan Gomes to try and get, but Smyly received a huge ovation. The crowd at Wrigley were they at Wrigley? Yeah. 30,381. There have been 23 perfect games. The last one was Felix Hernandez in 2012. Smyly also beat the Dodgers with 5 2/3 of 1-run ball in his previous start, so he basically owns the Dodgers this year. He said yesterday's pregame bullpen session was the worst one that he could remember. The Cubbies became the second team to score double-digit runs 6 times in its first 19 games, which we already talked about, but it matches the 1885 Chicago White Stockings.
Spencer Strider got the win on Tuesday.
All right. Well, I already got the answer to my question. It was Jeffrey Springs that's out with Tommy John. I got him confused.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
The Dodgers lost for the 4th time in 6 games. Julio Urias allowed 5 runs and 7 hits in 3 1/3. Chicago scored 7 runs in the 5th inning. Patrick Wisdom hit his 9th homer, and Nico Horner hit his first homer of the season. We talked about Michael Grove a little bit. He was placed on the 15-day injured list with a right groin strain, and I told you Ryan Pepio was transferred to the 60-day injured list. Chris Taylor came in to play second base in the 6th inning. And Dave Roberts says, I think now as we get through today, I think we can look at Chris Taylor as more of an everyday, can do anything available player, basically a position versatile. What do they call that guy? The guy that plays everywhere but doesn't have a position?
I don't know. Utility.
A utility player.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're going to play him a lot. They have nobody else, and their team is sucking. So I don't know what else Dave Roberts would say, but Chris Taylor's going to get a lot of playing time. Jamison Taillon is working on keeping his arm in shape while he is sidelined by a left groin strain. He was placed on the 15-day injured list on Thursday. Tonight you get to see Dustin May against Hayden Wesneski. The Pittsburgh Pirates, Danny, the Pittsburgh Pirates beat the Reds 4-2 for their 5th straight win. They're 14-7. They're off to their best start since 2002. They lost 101 games in 2021 and 100 games last season. Cincinnati has lost 4 in a row and is 5-12 since opening the season by winning 2 of the 3 from the Pirates. The Reds have 5 runs and 22 hits during the losing streak. 19 singles and 2 doubles. That's it. Connor Joe went 3 for 3 with a walk, and his batting average is now .377. He was actually selected by the Pirates in the first round of the 2014 amateur draft. Mitch Keller gave up 2 runs and 4 hits in 6 innings with 5 strikeouts and 1 walk. He is unbeaten in 5 starts. And last night, we have our boy Mitch Keller. He threw Pittsburgh's 11th straight quality start this year. 11 straight quality starts by Pittsburgh. Bednar pitched the 9th, his 7th save in 8 chances. Carlos Santana hit an RBI double. And Graham Ashcraft, he didn't do bad. He allowed 3 hits in 5 innings, struck out 4, and walked 3. 3 walks is bad. He gave up 3 runs over 19 innings in his first 3 starts this season. He's still growing up, Graham Ashcraft, but I think he's going to turn out to be a good pitcher. Now, there's no timetable for Reds' Joey Votto to resume his rehab assignment with AAA Louisville. It was paused last Saturday, and they said there's no timetable for him to start again. So, for those unfortunate enough to have him in an NL only, you got to find somebody to replace Joey Votto. He's not even on his rehab right now. Tonight you get to see Luis Cessa against Rich Hill. Go Rich Hill. I have this guy, okay? Yes, I do. I have this guy along with Patrick Corbin and a whole host of other ridiculous starters in one of my dynasty leagues. I don't know what happened, but somehow I lost all control of my pitching. I did get Kershaw recently, though. Okay, now we're going to talk about the White Sox in Tampa Bay, Daniel. Christian Bethancourt hit a leadoff homer in the 9th, and Brandon Lau followed with a walk-off 2-run shot off Reynaldo Lopez, who is not doing great, by the way. Tampa Bay Rays beat the Chicago White Sox 8-7. Harold Ramirez had a 2-run homer off Michael Kopech. By the way, Michael Kopech pitched pretty good, even though he gave up 4 runs in the first inning. Believe me, it's not as bad as it sounds. The Rays matched the 2019 Seattle Mariners as the only team since 1901 to homer in each of their first 20 games. Chicago was actually ahead in this game 7-4 in the fourth inning after Eloy Jimenez hit his first home run of the season, but Chicago couldn't hold the lead and lost for the seventh time in 9 games. Reynaldo Lopez blew the save and is 3 for 5 in save chances. So, number one, Liam Hendricks is on his way back. I don't know how long it's going to take. He's barely throwing, and he didn't even say that. We found out from his wife's Instagram, as I said earlier. But Reynaldo Lopez is not doing what he's supposed to, and he's not doing what he's capable of. He is capable of being a better pitcher than this, but he has totally failed at grasping onto that closer's job while Liam Hendricks is still out. Okay? That's all I got to say about Reynaldo Lopez. Very disappointing guy for what he was showing in spring training and what we saw from him. And I swear every White Sox fan that I know has said that they believe that he's one of the better pitchers in the bullpen, that he should be doing great. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if he's got, maybe he's got personal problems. Who the hell knows? But it's not right. All right? Kevin Kelly pitched 2 scoreless innings. Jalen Beeks and Cooper Criswell combined to walk 6 and strike out 3. That's horrible. Kopech rebounded and threw 5 innings, allowed 5 runs, 6 hits, 4 walks, and struck out 9. So, like I said, it's not as bad as it sounds. He also threw a career high, not just a season high, a career high 104 pitches yesterday. The Rays are 11-0 at home. It's the longest streak to start a year since the 2009 Dodgers went 13-0. The Rays lead the majors with 45 homers. The 2000 St. Louis Cardinals hold the big league record with 47 homers through 20 games. Tampa Bay has outscored their opponents 141-57. Last night, these two teams combined for 25 strikeouts and 11 freaking walks. The game was less than 3 hours, 2 hours and 51 minutes. That's, for all that action, it's not that bad. Anyway, Yoan Moncada will need to play in the minor league games before he comes back. Joe Kelly through batting practice. The Rays' Jose Siri went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts as the DH. I just said Jose Siri and my phone Siri just came on. I said Jose Siri. And Siri thinks I'm talking to it. Alright, that's pretty freaking funny to me, dude. Okay. Anyway, Jose Siri. He went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts as the DH for AAA Durham. Tyler Glasnow is set to throw hitters early. He's set to throw to hitters early next week. Tyler Glasnow on his way back. Tonight you get to see McClanahan and Dylan Cease. The Colorado Phillies game, the Rockies-Phillies game, they had a time change yesterday because there was heavy rain in the forecast, so the start time of the game was moved up 1 hour to 3:05. How pissed off would you be if you had a ticket and you showed up to the game at 4:05 and it's already the 4th inning? How annoying is that? Anyway, they did. They upped the game by an hour. Edmundo Sosa drove in the go-ahead run in the 8th inning. Kyle Schwarber hit a solo homer, and the Phillies beat the Rockies 4-3. Brad Hand started the night by receiving his 2022 NL Championship ring from the Phillies and ended it by taking the loss for the Rockies. JT Realmuto led off the 8th with the double off of Brad Hand, and he stole third base. Hand retired the next 2 batters and got Sosa to loft one to left that Jurickson Profar fumbled and allowed Realmuto to score. Sosa missed the last 4 games with a back injury. He went 1 for 3 and is batting .333. Last year he hit .315 for the Phillies after he was acquired from the Cardinals in July. Aaron Nola, all right, 7 strong innings, but still this guy is not doing great. All right, 7 strong innings, but he gave up 3 runs in the first innings. He only struck out 3, and he hasn't been great in his first 4 starts this season. He has yet to allow less than 3 runs in any of his starts so far. Boo, Aaron Nola. Boo. Now, I know that the Phillies were talking extensions because Aaron Nola is going to be a free agent after this year, and they were talking extensions Excuse me. Hold on. And they couldn't get a deal done for an extension or a new contract or whatever. And Aaron Nola said, we're going to stop talking about this when spring ends because he's ready to play for the season and he doesn't want to talk it anymore. And I think that's a way for players to get their teams on the ball and get something accomplished before the season starts, because then they make this threat, okay, we're not going to talk extensions anymore. But I guarantee if they came to him with a good offer, he wouldn't have a problem talking to him. And by the way, the player doesn't talk about the extensions anyways. It's the freaking agent that does the work. That's what they get paid to do, and it doesn't bother the friggin' player at all. So, anyways, Nola not doing good for his extension talks at this moment. Sir Anthony Dominguez worked a scoreless 8th for the win, and Jose Alvarado tossed a scoreless 9th. It's his third save. Now, do I have to eat crow on this one? I don't think I'm eating crow, but yes, there's always a possibility that that the stats don't account for what the projections are going to be, or they don't predict the future, and these pitchers are constantly growing. But I'll tell you what, Jose Alvarado in the past has been absolutely horrific as a closer. In fact, if he had 3 save chances in the past, he would have blown 2 of them. Right now, and he had more blown saves than he did actual saves, and that's why I said I just don't see it. But I will give him credit. He has been pitching like a monster this year, and absolutely has pitched better than anybody else in the bullpen. And with his sometimes I just forget words. Sometimes I just can't come up with the right words, okay? Anyways, with his wins, with his saves, with his accomplishments, he has proven that he's the one that should be there right now. They have some other potential closers like Sir Anthony Dominguez and others, but Alvarado, scoreless 9th. He got his 3rd save. If you picked him up, that's great. I guarantee he's not available anymore, but please don't go crazy on this guy, and don't go out trading good players for this guy. You just don't know. He's never pitched. He's never made it through a full season without having some major problems. And I'm happy to eat crow. I'm happy to say that he's doing well, because I really do root for all players to do well. But I'm not counting on it yet. This is still too early in the season to make him a star, okay? Anyways, the Rockies suffered their 9th loss in the last 10 games. Rockies' Noah Davis struck out 5 over 4 2/3 innings. That was his 2nd major league start. Bryce Harper took live batting practice. Whoopee, Bryce Harper. I can't wait to have Harper back. He's great. Andrew Painter threw at 60 feet on Friday. Tonight, you get to see Kyle Freeland against Christopher Sanchez. Now, the Phillies, Christopher Sanchez will make his first start of the season after he spent all season on the injured list with a left tricep strain. So Christopher Sanchez against Kyle Freeland. Freeland not doing bad, okay? He's 2-1 with a 3.80 ERA. Not great, not bad. The Baltimore Orioles showed off more of their speed on the bases, this time from an unlikely source, and his name is Ryan Mountcastle, okay? He hustled home from 3rd in the bottom of the 9th inning. He scored on Adam Frazier's grounder to give the Orioles their 4th straight victory, 2-1 over the Detroit Tigers. How exciting is that for Eddie Heckman? Now, Mountcastle, okay, is the unlikely source for speed. He's 6'4", 220 pounds. He represented the winning run when he beat the throw home from Spencer Torkelson. An impressive show of speed, the type of speed normally seen by Cedric Mullins, who has 9 steals, and Jorge Mateo, who has 8 so far this season. Orioles starter Tyler Wells surpassed his career high of 6 innings pitched, allowed 3 hits in 7 innings. He walked 1, struck out 5. 2 of the hits he allowed were infield singles. So 3 hits, 2 out of 3 were infield singles. That's great. This guy did an excellent job, but it's against the Detroit Tigers, so put in what you will about this. Brian Baker struck out 2 in a perfect 8th, and then Batista came on in the 9th. The Tigers were down to their last out, their last strike, okay? Javier Baez comes up to the plate. He hits a tying single off of Batista, who is excellent, by the way, snapping a 34-inning scoreless streak by Baltimore pitchers because a run scored. He hit a tying single off of Orioles closer Felix Bautista. The Orioles had gone 34 innings without allowing a run. They haven't allowed a run since the first inning last Sunday. That's the longest scoreless streak by an AL team in the same season since Baltimore threw 45 straight scoreless innings in 1995. Do you remember that? How many of you remember that? I know Eddie remembers that. But it's amazing to me, not only the scoreless streak, but the fact that the longest scoreless streak right before it was also by the Orioles. The longest scoreless streak from an AL team. The last longest scoring streak from an AL team was also Baltimore when they had 45 straight scoreless innings in 1995. Austin Hayes homered. Akil Baddoo singled and stole second. He was a pinch hitter, by the way. Michael Lorenzen pitched 5 scoreless innings for the Tigers, but the Orioles finally broke through on Hayes' 2-out drive off Jose Cisnero in the 7th. Baltimore's won 8 of 10. That's great. You know, we really root for the Baltimores around here because we love seeing the underdog come through. And we love the way that they built this team. We have great friends in Baltimore. The ballpark's great. Everything's great. We like Baltimore Orioles a lot. Mateo had right hip discomfort. He did not play yesterday. He left the game on Wednesday night, so we'll keep an eye on him. It doesn't really say anything about when he's coming back, but he's not on the injured list. Tonight you get to see Kyle Gibson, great addition to the Orioles this offseason, and Joey Wentz. Kyle Gibson is 3-0, Joey Wentz 0-2. So, still, this is not a given. I don't know. It just seems like if I was playing DFS, I would definitely choose Kyle Gibson today. It just seems too obvious and too easy. But a lot of times in those cases, it turns around on you. The Braves and the Astros. The Braves had their 5th sellout in 8 home games. That's great. That's a brand new park. Well, it's a few years old, but This Astros-Braves is a matchup of the last 2 World Series champions, and it's pretty exciting. Yordan Alvarez hit a tie-breaking 2-run homer with 2 outs in the 9th, and the Astros rallied from a 3-run deficit to beat the Braves 6-4. With the score tied at 4-4, Alvarez hit his 5th home run of the season. The closer for the Braves gave up his first home run this season, and Hector Neris earned the win with a perfect 8th inning, and Ryan Presley earned his first save. That's right, Ryan Presley earned his first save. Houston erased a 4-1 deficit in the 7th against Jesse Chavez, who had not allowed a run in 10 appearances this season. Yanier Diaz hit a RBI double. Mauricio Dubon hit a run-scoring double. Alex Bregman and Jake Myers both went 2 for 4 with an RBI. Atlanta's Bryce Elder outpitched Hunter Brown and lowered his ERA to 1.14. I can't really say that it's a good idea to get rid of him, right, as the Braves' 5th starter when he's got a 1.14 ERA. I don't know where Soroka will fit in, but they'll find a place for him. Bryce Elder held Houston to an unearned run over 6 innings, struck out 6. I love this Hunter Brown guy, though. Even though he got outpitched yesterday, I still love this Hunter Brown. He might be my favorite long-term prospect, rookie, whatever you want to call it. He's brand new, and he is phenomenal. I think he's going to be a great pitcher in the long run. He had not given up an earned run in 14 innings entering yesterday, but gave up 4 in the first inning and needed 29 pitches to get through the inning. But here's the thing. When you see a youngster like this, and he gives up 4 runs in the first inning, can he pull it together or not? It's called mound presence. And when you see a pitcher with mound presence, you know it because they come back out after a horrific inning like that, and they pull it together. He matched a career high with 7 strikeouts yesterday, okay? So, look. Yes, he had a crappy first inning, but this is what you see what a pitcher is made of. When shit like this happens and they pull it together. I love this guy. I really do. Ozzie Albies hit a 2-run double. Austin Riley and Vaughn Grissom also drove in runs. Yes, my boy Vaughn Grissom is finally back. Not finally. Actually didn't spend much time down at all since there was an injury and they absolutely needed him and had to turn to him. His defense must be pretty freaking bad to send this guy down because his numbers, his hitting numbers, his offensive numbers are a fantasy person's dream come true, okay? especially where you get him in the draft. Not bad. So, anyway, Austin Riley and Vaughn Grissom drove in runs. Acuna doubled twice, including one leading off in the first. Acuna had his 12th first inning hit of the season in his 20th game. Mauricio Dubon extended MLB's longest active hitting streak to 15 with the single in the fifth and finished 3 for 5 with 2 runs scored and an RBI. He's hitting .343 on the season. Michael Brantley is going to begin a rehab assignment with AAA Sugarland tomorrow. And with the Braves, none of the 4 injured regulars for the Braves have a specific return date, including reliever Colin McHugh. He threw 3 scoreless innings in a rehab at Single-A. Travis d'Arnaud, concussion, took batting practice for the first time since going on the injured list April 9th. Michael Harris did some light running and hit off a tee, and Raciel Iglesias threw a side session, but none of these 4 have return dates. It's really freaking annoying. Kyle Wright goes up against Framber Valdez tonight. Kyle Wright has a 6.23 ERA so far this season, and Framber's doing great. Even though he's 1-2, he still has a 1.80 ERA. The A's end a 7-game losing streak on pinch hitter Jordan Diaz's first big league homer, and Oakland A's beat Texas Rangers 5-4. Diaz was called up on Wednesday from AAA Las Vegas to appear in his 17th Major League game. Zach Jackson pitched a scoreless 8th inning for the win. Yuri's Familia worked a scoreless 9th for his first save of the season. Jonah Heim hit a 3-run homer for the second consecutive game. Texas had its 4-game winning streak stopped despite taking an early 4-0 lead. John Gray allowed only 1 hit through the first 3 innings, and then he gave up 4 runs, 3 earned on 5 hits with 5 walks. 5 freaking walks, okay? 1 hit batter and 2 wild pitches in 5 1/3. What the hell? Jonah Heim has 4 homers in his last 8 games after hitting none in his first 6 games. The A's they got 1 run in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, and 1 in the 6th. Tony Kemp hit his first homer of the season and ended his 0 for 23 slump. J.P. Sears allowed 4 runs in just 6 batters. Okay, he allowed 4 runs, 6 batters into his start, and then he gave up only 2 more singles through 6 innings, so he pulled it together. He set a career high in strikeouts and pitches, struck out 11 and threw 101 pitches. Yesterday, they were wearing these new uniforms that were commemorating, they were these City Connect uniforms. Is the 51st anniversary of the Rangers' first home game ever in Arlington in 1972. It was also on that day in 1836 that the Texas gained independence, and in 1868 that the first championship baseball game in Texas was played. Rangers rookie Josh Jung, he extended his hitting streak to 9 games. Ramon Laureano is playing catch and hitting. Jacob deGrom threw a bullpen yesterday and is on schedule to start tomorrow. That's exciting. A's rookie, Shintaro Fujinami, who's really bad so far. Not a great start. Hopefully he'll pull it together. I can say that not very many of these international players are excellent when they first start, especially these pitchers. It's very tough. Ohtani wasn't great when he started. We can't expect this guy to be fantastic, and you shouldn't draft him like he was fantastic either. You just never know. 0-3 with an 11.37 ERA. He has improved after allowing 8 runs in 2 1/3 innings in his big league debut. He is going to face Andrew Heaney, who has given up no earned runs over 10 innings in his last 2 starts, even though that sounds a lot better than it is, right? He hasn't given up any earned runs over 10 innings in his last 2 starts, and his first 2 starts must have been freaking horrible because his ERA is almost 5. Alex Verdugo said his manager challenged him at the end of last season to find a way to get better at every facet of the game. He has. He homered for the second straight game and doubled, and the Red Sox beat the Brewers 5-3 to snap the Brewers' 4-game winning streak. Verdugo is batting .341 with 3 homers. Where's King Hap? Is King Hap here?
Oh, he left.
Damn it. I'd love to rub in his face how good Verdugo's doing because he absolutely can't stand Verdugo. It's nothing against Verdugo. It actually stems from the fact that Verdugo came to the Red Sox in a trade with Mookie Betts, and he was so pissed that Mookie Betts was gone from the Red Sox that he can't stand Verdugo. That's how it works. Anyway, he's batting .341 with 3 homers, 10 RBI, and .931 OPS through the first 21 games of the season. He also went deep on Thursday. He hit a two-run homer and doubled yesterday. He actually said that he's been working a lot in the offseason, and he was doing more baseball-oriented activities like running and stuff, and less of what he calls bodybuilder type of work, lifting weights and stuff like that. Rowdy Tellez hit a solo shot for the Brewers to continue his history of success against the Red Sox. Rowdy Tellez has 13 homers in 36 career games against Boston. Put Rowdy Tellez in your DFS lineup every single time he plays against Boston. Okay? The Red Sox actually came from behind because of their patience. Each of the last 3 Red Sox players who scored, they reached base on a 2-out walk. Okay? Freddie Peralta struck out 4 and allowed 5 hits, 4 runs, and 2 walks in 5 2/3 innings. Yoshida had an RBI double. Kenley Jansen retired the side in the 9th to earn his 5th save. And Nick Pivetta struck out 7, allowed 7 hits, 3 runs, and 1 walk in 5 2/3. Garrett Mitchell, okay, this is sad news. Garrett Mitchell is at risk of missing the rest of the season because an MRI revealed significant damage to his left shoulder. What's going to happen because of that? Joey Wiemer is expected to serve as the primary center fielder for Milwaukee moving forward, although Sal Frelick could be an option eventually. Garrett Mitchell, okay, get him out of your roster. He is absolutely at risk of missing the entire season. He will not be back anytime soon if he comes back at all. He's on his way to get another consult by a doctor, but the second opinion thing, really, it's an MRI. It reveals significant damage. That is what it is. No second opinion is going to change that, and he's probably out for the season. I can't guarantee it, otherwise I would. Brewers' Tyrone Taylor will begin a rehab assignment with AAA Nashville on Tuesday. He's recovering from elbow injury. Yesterday marked the start of the Brewers, listen to this, season-long 9-game homestand, all featuring American League opponents. The Brewers are playing 12 straight games overall against American League teams. Can you believe it? Holy moly, they play 9 games at home in a row, all of them against American League teams, and that's the new schedule we got going. This marked the first time the Red Sox has visited Milwaukee since 2017. Their last trip to Milwaukee before that was in 2003. So while your boy, or my boy, or whoever's boy, Rowdy Tellez, crushes the Red Sox, there haven't been much opportunity for him to really see the Red Sox, especially at home, okay, according to that little tidbit I just told you. Now tonight you get to see Garrett Whitlock against Wade Miley. Now, here we go, Boston Paul. Are you listening? Listen good, Boston Paul. Joey Meneses hit his first homer of the season, and Washington Nationals beat the Twins 3-2. Meneses hit 13 home runs in 222 at-bats as a 30-year-old rookie last year and starred for Mexico in the World Baseball Classic, batting .370 with 2 homers. But he had been off to a slow start for the Nats, entering the game with a .562 OPS. Meneses' homer broke a 24 and a third inning scoreless streak for the Nationals offense. You hear that? The Nationals did not score for 24 and a third innings until Meneses finally hit a home run. Joey Gallo hit a solo home run that was one of just 5 hits for the Twins. The Twins have scored 2 or fewer runs in 7 of their 20 games. Thank goodness their pitching is unbeatable, right? I mean, they're just not getting a lot of run support. Gallo led off the bottom of the third. Joey Gallo, his 5th home run of the season, 386 feet, 112.6 miles per hour exit velocity. Erasmo Ramirez, remember when they tried to make him a starter? Erasmo Ramirez, Hunter Harvey, and Kyle Finnegan each pitched a scoreless inning. Finnegan picked up his fourth save We're really starting to learn who these closers are, really. These closer by committee, they never last that long. One guy, unless one pitcher doesn't come out and take the job, there usually is one pitcher that shows that he's the right guy for the job because he gets it done, and then they use that guy for the most part. So, Kyle Finnegan, fourth save. The game time temperature was 37 degrees, which is the coldest in Nationals history. Tyler Mahle gave up 3 hits and 1 run over 6 1/3 innings. He pitched into the 7th inning for the first time as a Twin. Trevor Williams allowed 2 runs over 6 innings. The Twins' second baseman Jorge Polanco was activated from the injured list and started, which is his first action of the year. He singled in his first at bat and finished 1 for 4. Kenta Maeda expects to make his next start. He left Thursday's game after taking a line drive off his left ankle. He doesn't expect to miss any starts, so go ahead and keep him in your lineup. Chad Kuhl goes against Pablo Lopez tonight. Chad Kuhl, 8.59 ERA. Pablo Lopez, he is absolutely amazing. He's got a 1.73 ERA so far. And Chad Kuhl hasn't pitched more than 5 innings in any of his 3 starts this season. Yeah, because he sucks, okay? That's why. Because he sucks. Vladdy Jr. put Toronto ahead in the first inning with his 11th home run in the Bronx. And Brandon Belt drove in 4 runs, and the Blue Jays beat the Yankees 6-1. I hope you didn't drop Brandon Belt, Malpal.
Come on, get to Kikuchi.
I had to take a sip of my coffee, Leonard. Do you want to talk about Kikuchi?
No.
Lenny's so excited about Kikuchi. All right, here you go, Leonard. Kikuchi is 3-0. He allowed 1 run and 4 hits in 6 innings and has a 1.91 ERA at Yankee Stadium. Eric Swanson, Trevor Richard, and Yimi Garcia finished a 5-hitter. Domingo Germán, he's 1-2. He gave up 4 runs, 5 hits, and 2 walks in 6 innings. He did retire 12 batters in a row at one point, and he struck out 6. In his previous outing, umpires found that he had excessive sticky substance on his pitching hand, but allowed him to clean his hand and remain in the game. George Springer doubled on the game's first pitch, and 2 batters later, Guerrero hit his 4th home run this season. His 11th at Yankee Stadium, but only his 4th on the season. Still very good. He's batting .296. He's 37 for 125 in 32 games at Yankee Stadium. Brandon Belt, 2-run homer and a 2-run double. Poor Brandon Belt. He'd gone 38 games without a home run since last July. Now here's my boy, Oswaldo Cabrera. Love the fact that he's hitting. Love the fact that he's playing. Yay for Oswaldo Cabrera. Yay for Peraza. Yay. He hit his first home run of the season. The Yankees didn't get another runner past first base. And another interesting tidbit about Oswald Peraza. He started at third base for the Yankees. His first professional game at the position. New York has lost 5 straight series openers after winning its first 2. The Yankees entered the series with 5 series wins and 1 split. Carlos Rodon had a CT scan of his back, which has bothered him during the past week. That's not even his injury, by the way, okay? It's not his injury. It's really bad. The scan results, according to Aaron Boone, and I quote, pretty normal. What the hell does pretty normal mean? It's not right then. If it's not normal, it's not normal. Pretty normal is not normal, so it's bad. I gotta say, it's not good for us Rodon managers. Harrison Bader began a rehab assignment at Double A. That'll make Leonard very happy, since he's a Bader lover.
Masturbator.
Okay, of course you have to say that, right, Leonard? All right. Playing center field for 5 innings and went 1 for 3 with an RBI, Boone expects that Harrison Bader will need at least 1 week of minor league games. And Luis Severino is headed to Tampa and will throw a bullpen session there tomorrow, with another likely scheduled for next week. So Severino not coming back in the next couple weeks. Tonight you get to see Alek Manoah. He's got a 6.98 ERA. And I'd like to point something out since Malpal brought this to my attention. I've always been a Manoah fan. I think part of the reason I'm a Manoah fan, and I admit this, is that he's left-handed. And he has been good. Over the last few years, he's been very good. Also, he plays for a very good team, which helps him out a lot in that respect. But there's one formula that we use that Malpal taught me, which is ground ball percentage plus strikeout percentage. It's very easy to look up. You add those two percentages, and if it comes to 70 or more, it means that a pitcher has the skills to have a breakout. It really is used mostly to find breakout pitchers. We found Patrick Sandoval this way. We found a lot of pitchers this way. We've tried to refine it over the last couple years. So you can't just look at those two things. You do have to pay attention to how many walks a pitcher gives up. But as an easy way to figure out if a breakout pitcher is possible, you go ahead and look at the ground ball plus strikeout percentage. If it's above 70, it's great. Malpal has never liked Alek Manoah, and I never really asked him why until recently, because he pointed out how bad Alek Manoah's season has started, which is a 6.98 ERA, and he has been against Manoah, not against him, but against drafting him, and he even owned Alek Manoah in a keeper league, that he was very smart to trade. He knew that he was a good trade chip, and that's why he kept him. And that goes for everybody. If you know somebody's a good trade chip, even if you think they're bad, if their name is great, you use them, you keep them, because you can trade them off for something great. Now, he pointed out the other day to me, because I never really understood why he had such a bad time with Alek Manoah. He pointed out that Alek Manoah has never had a ground ball plus strikeout percentage above 70 or even close, and he has mediocre pitcher written all over him. Now, so far this season, he was saying that before this season. I'll give him credit for that. He's too humble to put this in the chat room, so I'm saying it for him. And because I feel like if you don't like a player, you have to explain why you don't like a player. And if your reasoning is sound, that's all that matters. What comes out of that, you never know, because it's a game that there's a lot of factors involved. But usually, if your reasoning is sound why you don't like a player, you should always say that. And then the people can make the most informed decision based on your opinion and everybody else who was ranting and raving about Manoah, because Malpal is the only one that I knew of who was saying, wait a minute, red flag, pay attention to this, and he did, and we'll see what happens to Alek Manoah in the long run. He's not having a great start to the season, so I assume that a lot of you people out there are saying, I need to trade for Alek Manoah, I could probably get him, the manager's frustrated. I think you should know about this, because this formula that Malpal came up with is very good, and it's rarely ever completely wrong, unless you see that these two numbers add up to more than 70, but a pitcher is walking people like crazy or giving up home runs like crazy. That formula is almost guaranteed to work for breakout pitchers. Pay attention to those other two categories, but we haven't figured the exact right formula to go in there, because it matters what ballpark you're in, it matters a lot of different things, but that formula is almost guaranteed to work if you're looking for breakout pitchers. Okay, Kansas City. Anyway, Manoah goes up against Cole, who's playing way above his head in my opinion, but he's 4-0 with a .95 ERA, so we'll see these two match up tonight. Now, Kansas City Angels, Ohtani. We got to talk about Ohtani more because he deserves it, frankly. He deserves it. He struck out the side on 12 pitches in the first inning, throwing his famous sweeper that broke horizontally like a frisbee. I said a boomerang. Can you imagine a pitch? Okay, forget the boomerang thing. Anyways, it drops like crazy, okay?
You don't need a catcher if you have a boomerang.
Yeah, maybe someday we won't need a catcher, right? Okay, we'll probably have a robot catcher anyway in the near future, but all right. He accentuated his sweeper pitch with a 98.7 mile an hour fastball pitch, and these two combination cannot be beat. This is unbelievable. Like I said, a lot of the reason I watch quick pitch, I turn the sound down because I can't stand this girl ever, but I love to see the highlights because they really do a great job of showing you what a pitcher is doing. And when you look at a pitcher and you say, holy smokes, I've never seen a pitcher like Ohtani. Angels manager Phil Nevin said he had never seen an inning more dominant during his 30 years in the big leagues. And it is not an exaggeration. If you get a chance, you go look at Ohtani first inning, and it was like something I've never seen, okay? And, Ohtani is such a likable character, too. He's got such a great personality. He is so friendly to fans. He is an absolute amazing representation of the game. And I think that MLB is so lucky to have him. And a lot of that is going to stem into his contract that he's about to get, the biggest contract in baseball history. $500 million is what they're talking about. $500 million, okay? He's going to get it because of all of his assets, all of his ability to bring fans in. He hits, even if he was just pitching, he would still be the best player in baseball. Think of that. It's unbelievable. He struck out a season-high 11, allowed 2 hits over 7 innings. The fill-in catcher, because the Angels have a lot of problems right now, okay, with their catching. They had the fill-in catcher, Chad Wallach. He hit a 2-run homer, and the Angels beat the Royals 2-0. After fanning the side in the first, Ohtani struck out his final 6 batters, okay? And in between, Kansas City managed 2 singles and 2 walks while getting just 1 runner to second base. Ohtani has given up 2 runs and 8 hits over 28 innings with 38 strikeouts. His ERA is .64, the lowest in franchise history through a pitcher's first 5 starts. He also extended his franchise record with his 12th consecutive start, allowing 2 runs or less. He issued a leadoff walk in the 6th, and then Ohtani fanned 6 in a row to secure his Major League best 12th double-digit strikeout game since the start of 2022. Jose Quijada earned his 4th save, okay, and the Angels, of course, their 3rd sellout crowd of the year. Kansas City opened a 10-game trip with its 7th consecutive loss and its 10th in 11 games. I told you Chad Wallach, W-A-L-L-A-C-H, pronounce it as you will. He joined the Angels on Friday from AAA Salt Lake. It was his 2nd big league homer since 2020, and they needed him because all their catchers are hurt. Hold on. Kansas City lost Chris Bubik, so they did a bullpen game with opener Taylor Clark throwing 2 scoreless innings. Mike Trout got the night off. Angels rookie shortstop Zach Neto was hit by a pitch in each of his first 2 at-bats. Listen to this, okay? This guy needs to quit standing on the plate, okay? That's what I take from it, even though I haven't seen any of these. I gotta say, in each of his first 2 bats yesterday, he was hit by a pitch. He already has been hit by 5 pitches in the first 7 games in the majors, okay? He's played 7 games. He's been hit by pitches 5 times. And last night he got hit by 2 pitches. This guy needs to back up, okay? I'm sorry. There's something wrong with that. Nobody's hitting this cat on purpose because he is not that great of a hitter, all right? So something's going on here. He needs to back up or he's going to get hurt. All right, so I already told you Chris Bubik was out. That's why the Angels had they had an opener game where they had just a couple innings from their start or whatever.
24 hours of Andrea in the chat room.
I'm going to finish the games, and that's all there is to it. No matter how long it takes, I'm going to finish the games. If you don't have time, I get it.
2 more games.
Okay. So Chris Bubik, Tommy John surgery next week. Logan O'Hoppe went on the 10-day injured list with a shoulder issue. The team has not revealed much about the nature of his injury, but like I said, they have problems with their catchers. Max Stassi is still injured. He's been injured since the start of the season. So Wallach and Matt Thaiss are the Angels' 2 remaining catchers, and that's that. Tonight you get to see Tyler Anderson against Zach Greinke. Here we go, Malpal. Gabriel Moreno had 3 hits and 3 RBIs, and the Arizona Diamondbacks beat the Padres 9-0 on Friday night. Zach Gallen, I love Zach Gallen. I always wished he would be on a better team. But right now, I'm loving it. He's doing great for the Diamondbacks. He's never been too concerned with things like streaks or statistics. He says he's done his job each inning if there is a 0 on the board for the other team, and isn't that the truth of it? Gallen threw 7 innings of 2 hit ball to run his scoreless streak to 21 2/3 innings, currently the longest in the majors. Gallen retired 14 straight Padres during one stretch, striking out 11 while walking 0.
Wow.
Gallen set a franchise record last year with 44 and a third scoreless innings from August 8th to September 11th. And that says something, by the way. August 8th to September 11th is usually when a pitcher is very tired. They usually start fading away a little bit. But Gallen, no. Gallen was strong he was just he's an excellent pitcher. And a lot of people didn't like Gallen that much because he doesn't have a lot of flair. He's not doing anything super exciting. He's not throwing the ball 102 miles an hour. But Zach Gallen is a master on the mound, and he deserves recommendation. He deserves accommodation. I don't know. He deserves reward for that. That was the longest scoreless stretch in the big league since Zach Greinke did it in 2015. Miguel Castro pitched a spotless eighth, and Joe Mantiply handled the ninth. The Diamondbacks lead the entire NL West with a 12-9 record. The Diamondbacks are at the top of the NL West right now, okay? Ketel Marte hit RBI double and finished with 3 hits and 2 RBIs. I've always had a soft spot for Ketel Marte. I sure hope he pulls it together. I know he's been just such a disappointment for the last few seasons, but I like Ketel Marte, and I hope he does well. San Diego's Seth Lugo gave up 2 runs on 6 hits over 6 innings. He struck out 6, and he only walked 1. Not a bad outing. I really like Seth Lugo. I don't know how well he'll be as a starter, but I like him. He's a good pitcher. The bullpen got roughed up in the 8th. Luis Garcia gave up 5 runs while recording 1 out. The bullpen lost this game for the Padres. Not to mention what we already talked about earlier, which is that the top third of their batting order is not hitting right now. Xander Bogaerts hit a leadoff double in the 2nd, and that was it. I told you Luis Garcia gave up 5 runs in the 8th, and Reese Nair finished the game allowing 2 more runs, so the bullpen gave up 7 runs. The Padres have the 3rd highest payroll in baseball. They fell to 10-12 on the season. Now, Fernando Tatis, he got his first hit of the season, okay, after going 0 for 7. But one great thing that is not being talked about a lot is that Tatis was never that good at shortstop. He was never good defensively at shortstop. We knew that he would keep a job, absolutely, in the field somewhere because his batting is unbeatable. But, he was on fire in the minors. There's no doubt that Fernando Tatis is ready as ever to come back. And he didn't start off well in the majors, but he hit like 7 home runs in 8 games or something before he came up. And he is making the transition to right field, and he's doing a great job. He's making excellent catches, and he's doing this stuff defensively that is making the Padres feel good about his new position. Xander Bogaerts playing shortstop, and Tatis did hit his first hit yesterday. So the Padres, yes, they're off to a horrible start. That doesn't mean jack shit, okay? It doesn't mean anything. If you listen to Manny Machado, he says, all of you people want to dog on us when we're not doing good. But you'll see, Soto, Machado, Tatis, these guys, they will turn it around. I can guarantee it. Believe me, they will turn it around. And all of these guys are from the Dominican Republic. They all speak the same language. They all have the same culture. Anyway, they're all from the Dominican, so that says something, and they get along all great. I just saw Machado in the batting cages laughing and playing around with Tatis. I know these guys will mesh. I know these guys will get it together. Tonight, you get to see Joe Musgrove coming back from a foot injury to make his first start of the season. He's going up against Merrill Kelly, which is pretty tough. Merrill Kelly's not a bad pitcher. Now, Joe Musgrove, I'm rooting for him tonight because I am rooting for San Diego, and I'm rooting for San Diego to beat the Dodgers every day of the year. All right, St. Louis and Seattle. George Kirby allowed 2 runs in 6 innings. Teoscar Hernandez homered, doubled, and scored 3 times. Thank goodness for Teoscar. And the Mariners beat the Cardinals 5-2. Seattle snapped a 3-game losing streak. Hernandez, thank goodness this guy is not hurt. I remember it might have been like my first or second draft of the spring, and I draft Teoscar Hernandez, and the very next day, he's out. He's got problems with his back or something, and I'm thinking, this sucks. I need to hope that Teoscar Hernandez is not hurt, and he's not. He hit his 4th home run of the season yesterday, doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. Steven Matz allowed 4 hits, 4 runs, and struck out 7 in 5 innings. 5 1/3, actually. Kirby George Kirby retired 11 straight during one stretch. He allowed 3 hits and struck out 5. Paul Sewald pitched the 9th for his 5th save. Julio Rodriguez became the second fastest player in Major League Baseball history with 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases in 152 games. Now, I have a genius of the day, all right? Who is the only other hitter? No. Who is the fastest player in Major League Baseball history with 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases? He did it in 146 games. Now, Julio Rodriguez became the second fastest to 30 homers and 30 stolen bases. He did it in 152 games. Who did it in 146 games? That's your genius of the day. Adam Wainwright's expected to throw 75 pitches on Tuesday at Double-A Springfield as he continues to recover from his groin injury. Dylan Moore had a setback after playing in one game of his rehab from an oblique injury. He's expected to visit a core muscle specialist in Philly next week when the team stops there on its upcoming road trip. Tonight you get to see Miles Mikolas against Luis Castillo. Mikolas has allowed 9 or more hits and at least 5 earned runs in 3 out of 4 of his starts. Luis Castillo, on the other extreme, he's allowed 2 earned runs in 24 2/3 innings this season. He threw 7 shutout innings of 2-hit ball in his last start against Colorado. Luis Castillo, who Lenny claims is the best pitcher in the American League, I absolutely agree right now. He's showing that. And Zach Gallen might be the best pitcher in the National League right now. Mets, San Francisco. I think this is our last game. Yes, it is. So let's get on with it. Now I want to see Bobby Bonds. No. Acuna, no. Ricky Henderson, no. Eric Davis, no. Keep guessing, my friends. This is great fun. Okay. Pete Alonso hit his major league leading 10th homer, and the Mets beat the Giants 7-0. I told you Lucchesi came back in his first start from Tommy John surgery. He said he used to ask his parents not to come watch him pitch because that way he wouldn't get rattled, but he couldn't do that and tell his family that they couldn't come see him pitch yesterday because he hadn't pitched since 2019. So his mom and his dad and his sister were all coming anyway. So he said he focused on breathing. And actually it wasn't his sister, it was his brother, Matt, and his mom and dad, and nobody's seen him pitch since he last pitched with the Padres in 2019.
Who had the fastest 30-30?
I'm still getting guesses.
Okay.
Griffey Jr., J Bass. J Bass is here. Yay, J Bass. Okay. Griffey Jr. is not it. The guy's still playing today is your hint, since none of you can get it, okay? Keep asking. Keep guessing. He's still playing today. Fastest to 30-30, and he did it in 142 games, or 147 games. But he did it quicker than Julio Rodriguez, and he's the only one to ever get there quicker. And A-Rod was a great guess. That's who I would have guessed, A-Rod, but it's not him either. All right. So, Lucchesi, what did he do in his first outing back? He struck out 9, walked 2, and allowed 4 hits over 7 scoreless innings and became the first Mets pitcher to work into the 7th inning. Can you believe it? What a great time for Lucchesi and his family. And get this, he praised Francisco Alvarez behind the plate for giving him guidance. So, Francisco Alvarez doing a good job behind the plate. He wouldn't have praised him otherwise. Lucchesi threw 97 pitches, 59 sinkers, averaging 91 miles per hour. And this time, Alonso's home run came off of Anthony DeSclafani. Alonso's the first to double-digit homers this year, connecting for the second straight night. Alonso's homers are the most in franchise history before the end of April, and he also has 4 RBIs in consecutive games. New York Mets won their 3rd straight and 8th of the last 9. One thing about DeSclafani, he's winless in his last 3 appearances since April 3rd, but he had 3 quality starts in a row going into this start, which is 3 out of 4 of his starts so far have been quality starts. So he actually has never been good against the Mets. He's never beaten the Mets in his career and that's 8 starts against him. Right now he's 1-1. You guys know I'm a huge fan of DeSclafani. Big deal. Alonso hit a homer off of him. Alonso could hit a home run off of anybody at this point. Brooks Raley and Tommy Hunter each pitched an inning to complete the 5-hit shutout. The game time was 2 hours and 15 minutes. The Giants lost for the 7th time in 8 games and fell to 1-7 in night games. Not good at night games, I guess. That's just a fluke, I think.
Teresa asked Ed if he was listening to the podcast for the second time.
No, I'm just going long today. All right. Trey Turner, not it. McCutcheon, not it. Harper, not it. Yelich, not it. You guys are just missing the best. Bellinger, Betts, none of them. It's Mike Trout. That was the best genius of the day ever. And thank you for everybody for guessing. How fun is that? Mike Trout is the only batter in MLB history to reach 30 homers and 30 stolen bases, or am I right? 30 homers and 30 stolen bases in 140 games. That's less than a season.
Yep.
That's excellent.
Danny Ogden just got it.
Mike Trout, Danny Ogden. I'll leave it to the Pirates fan to get it. Anyway, it's Mike Trout. You guys are all kicking yourselves right now because it just is so obvious. Anyway, that was fun. Thanks for taking part. All right, so just a couple more news about injuries. We got Starling Marte missed his 2nd straight night because he has neck stiffness, but Showalter is hopeful of Marte being back in the lineup today. So that's a good thing. And by the way, it's a great day for him to go back into the lineup because if he's not back in the lineup, now you have an opportunity to replace him if you're in a weekly, if you're in roster moves that only go weekly. We could deal with Starling Marte as we go. Mitch Haniger. He was playing for AAA Sacramento, and he's getting close to a return. Austin Slater had a day off in his rehab assignment, and tonight you get to see David Peterson against Logan Webb. I'm going to take Logan Webb on this, although it's iffy, okay? It's iffy. Logan Webb is supposed to be so much better than this. He is screwing me over in every way. I've trusted this cat. 4.94 ERA. He's going up against David Peterson. He's got a better ERA than David Peterson, but this Mets hitting is super scary. So, go Logan Webb. Still seeking his first victory of the season. Thank you, everybody, for joining me on a Saturday. You will hear us back tomorrow, Lady and the Legend, at 9 o'clock. Come visit us and be in the chat room. And everybody enjoy the beautiful sunny day.